right. Welcome everyone to the regular meeting of the Eureka Springs Parks and Recreation Commission. Today is July 23rd, 2024. It is 6 p.m. Let's do a roll call, starting on the end.
Beth Giltner,
Ruth Mitchell.
Aaron Borey.
Mark Ingram.
Ruth Goodwin Hager,
Rod Gray.
Sam Dudley.
All right. All right, and has everybody got a copy of the agenda?
Yes.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 0. All right, public comments. There's no public here, so go on to chairperson's comments. I feel like I want to welcome Ruth Mitchell to the commission. We're thrilled that she is here, so I'm going to use my time to let her tell us a little bit about her.
Oh, my.
Not to put you on the spot.
I'm tickled to be here. You all seem like a very nice bunch. My husband and I have lived in Eureka for 5 years and visited for almost 50. We love it here. We love the people in the town, and I'm excited about contributing to the parks.
Yeah, you're welcome. We're glad you're here. Also, we got a formal notice from Jonathan that he is off the commission because he moved out of the county. He's completely not even in the county anymore, so that's it. All right. Sam Dudley, Director's Report.
I, of course, forgot to print the director's report.
That's right.
But that's okay. I mean, I usually just kind of ad-lib it.
I have it if you want to use mine.
Oh, okay, yeah. I usually just use it for notes, refer to it, but. Thank you for being prepared, Beth. So yeah, the highlight of the month was, of course, Jamboree. The highlight of the highlight was, of course, the weather. 100-degree heat wave and then a raging storm made things very interesting. Obviously, you can't predict the weather, but I think we handled it as well as we possibly could, given the circumstance. We got the fireworks lit up, and got all that done, and then yeah, it seemed like a good show for what it's worth. The Good Shepherd Humane Society, and a big thanks to the Grassy Knob Fire Department for helping with the volunteer, with parking and all that. The Good Shepherd Humane Society also had an event at the ball fields this last Saturday. I think it went pretty well. It's just cool to see that it's getting some usage during the summer when it's so slow, typically. We are in the process of getting signs up on the in-town trails that kind of correspond with our maps that we have, because they weren't really matching the names of the trails versus, the signs and the maps, so we're amending that. That should be done here in a couple weeks. And we need to get more maps made up, but it's just been like, gnashing of teeth to get a hold of the map company and get some answers about. Typically what happens is I call them like 4 or 5 times, and then all of a sudden they just show up on our doorstep, and there's no like shipment update or anything. So I'm hoping that's the case this time. The refurbished benches at Park, the metal ones, I don't know if y'all noticed those. We finally got those back. They got powder coated and they look real nice and sharp, and just made them even heavier than they were, which was interesting, but got them in the park, so they look nice.
Where were those?
They're the ones in Basin Park, the metal ones, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, okay. Aaron's taking notes. And so really right now we're just kind of in that phase into the second quarter where we start looking at our budget and thinking about things, gives us a good opportunity to see where we are financially, and then, weigh up what projects we want to get done potentially by the end of the year, which there's some things on the agenda that will address that. So yeah, anyway, so that's where we are now. Would you like this back?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool.
I have a file on right there.
All right.
I'm a file girl.
committee reports. The only thing I would say on the finance committee, we're caught up on all reconciliations except for June. I think we haven't done June.
Yeah, it's done.
You do got it done, but I haven't.
Oh,
got it done yet. So we'll do that this week. And then the next thing is old business, which is the at-large positions that we talked about last time. I read through the bylaws, and by the way, these really do need to be redone and reworded. And it's not that they're bad, it's just that they're not worded very well, and it's repetitive, and it's just, some of that. But there was very clear, and I just thought I'd read this to you guys just to see what it says. We're gonna, if I can find where I made comments. Hold on. Okay. No, that's nominations. It says, it starts with the commissioners in section 1 of Article 6. It says, the commission shall be composed of 7 citizens who are qualified electors of the city. There's an ordinance number there. Then you come down to qualifications. Commissioners must be citizens who are qualified electors of the municipality or the county in which the municipality is situated. Upon finding an ordinance there are no qualified electors living within the city limits, a city of the first class or a city of the second class may allow qualified electors of the county in which the municipality is situated to serve as members of the commission. So it doesn't anywhere really specifically talk about how many are at large and how many unless something's happened that's not part of this, that I wasn't privy to back in the day when you guys, Ruth would know that best. But
Is that the commission, is the bylaws, the Parks bylaw thing, or the?
yeah,
The commission.
it's the bylaws of the City of Eureka's Parks and Recreation Commission. Now, this
Because I
is
think
not a
I've-
signed copy. This is just one that I got from, I think, Scott a while back.
I know I recall reading something, I have to look in my stuff too,
So
where it specifically names the idea of having
what
one or two.
what I would recommend, if you guys don't mind, is let's do a little bit more research into this, make sure that I've got the best copy and with the city ordinance, and make sure that we're doing everything the way we're supposed to in this. I think we are, obviously, but if we don't have any applicants in the city, and we do have some in the county, it sounds to me like there's no limit to that necessarily, but it's up to the mayor and the city council to approve them. And
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we don't, I do think we want to limit it to, a certain amount. We don't want to
Yeah.
have more,
we definitely do.
we definitely want to keep a majority of.
So let me
Eureka.
go work with Kim
Yeah.
and get that actual stuff. And then I also think we need to really look at these bylaws at a workshop and really go through them and make sure that we're doing what it says and we're saying what because as I'm reading it, I'm like, that doesn't really make sense. It's not even
Yeah.
grammatically correct.
Yeah, they're
So
out
let's-
of date and stuff
let's-
too,
Yeah, we
some
need to
things.
fix it. And
That
it's
sounds like a
not-
workshop that I don't have to attend.
yeah, it's not bad. It's not, nothing's bad. It's just not clear and worded correctly, and you don't want one article to be opposite of another one,
Yeah.
or one be very clear and the other one be sort of wishy-washy.
Some places I've noticed in some there and the parks things too, it references state ordinances and then city ordinances, and it doesn't mention which is which. It's not as clear as it could be for what the different ordinances are.
I agree. I know that Scott at one point handed me, and I looked for it today, the ordinance and the bylaws, and where he had made comments on each of where they conflicted and where he thought they weren't. And I can't find it, but he may have it somewhere down at the office there.
Dropbox.
Maybe in Dropbox, yeah. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Anybody else have anything to say about that? You're all okay with this?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
make a workshop.
I'm sorry that I was late to the meeting, but is there any chance to get public comment?
We already,
Is there?
you're in charge, good.
Yes, I don't see any reason why people.
I guess before we get into new business.
Before we get into new business, yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead. Pat's here and we're about to be into new business, so Pat, go ahead and speak.
Thank you. Pat Matsoukas, 5 Mountain. I have brought this up before about your master plan for Leatherwood that I'm still not seeing or knowing about. And I want to say to you, Sam, you are not responsible for making a master plan. They are. Because that should be your guidance to how you proceed in the parks. And your money that you get from us, the voters, is predicated on you having a master plan for Leatherwood. And I don't understand why you don't have one. It's been a long time. I'd also like to know the pluses and minuses of what happened at 4th of July. What was the good stuff? What was the bad stuff? I may have missed that because I was 4 minutes late or whatever this was. And then the other thing I have is I called Parks today because I'm looking to find your budget and I'm looking to find your expenses of what you do. I did not see a budget online anywhere that tells me what you're going to spend in '24, and I'd like to know what your actuals are. I know you've got your review coming up for the second quarter, so that should answer part of that. I'm just curious what you budgeted for the whole year.
Okay.
And I would say that you should talk to the mayor because we should be appointing people in the city. If you're collecting city money, then really you don't know if the mayor's not bringing names forward because he doesn't want that person there or not. So it's important to know how this works. The mayor brings forth the name, the council approves it. And this is a good thing. Years ago, under other commissions, at this table, there was a time when the chair decided who they wanted and didn't want, and that was a whole nother ballgame. So there's a lot of bad history here with parks and their ability to be transparent sometimes. So I'm encouraging this, and that's why I came in tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Pat. And we will address those issues, well, for sure. Okay. All right, new business. Q2, financial reviews. Sam, you're up.
Do you guys want to start with the actual Q2 or the Q2 year-to-date?
Let's do Q2, the
Okay.
actual Q2, because
Okay.
that's what we have to submit to Sydney.
So yeah, I mean, if this is it seems like a format that works for y'all because I haven't heard anyone ask for anything different. I just kind of go through and look at, what we actually budgeted versus what we've spent so far. And since it's a quarter, we want those percentage numbers to be around 25%. Obviously, there's fluctuations throughout the year, so if it's ever,
You mean around 50%?
well,
Oh,
for
25%.
a quarter, yeah,
Okay.
25% of what we budgeted. So if there's anything that's jumps out at me when I do the, crunch the numbers, I make a note on the side.
Okay.
So it's essentially just how I do it, and then we can go into further explanation. And obviously, you guys have the opportunity to contact me before the meeting. I mean, we can talk about it here too, but if there's a really pressing question, I'd, urge you to call me before
Is
the
there
meeting.
anything that stands out to you that you want to make us aware of specifically?
Well, yeah, 748 utilities at LLCP. I think perhaps this was just an oversight on my part, but I think 748 and 734 need to be adjusted because I think maybe those just need
There's
to be
no
switched.
700. Are you talking about 5?
Should be
Unless I'm-
748.
748's under
Utilities
expenses.
under the overhead, and then.
If you're seeing 548, you're on 2023.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
right. I was going back and forth between them, you're right. Okay. Okay. Okay.
You're living in the past, man.
All right, I know. So what do you think is going on?
Well,
there?
I mean, I think, may have just been an oversight on my part. I think I originally budgeted for utilities at LLCP, as you can see from the number, $5,000 for the year,
Right,
which is way off.
yeah.
And then I budgeted $20,000, I believe, if you look at the numbers,
Right.
for
Yeah.
utilities at, just for the general fund, which is just everything besides Leatherwood. I think those numbers should be switched because it's like $5,000 to run all the cabins and the visitor center and the bathhouse and,
What's the other line item?
oh, I'm sorry. It's 748 versus 734. So essentially 734 got over budgeted, 748 got under budgeted. So,
Should have been flip-flopped.
I think maybe look at that, and then the next meeting, we could adjust the budget and maybe put these.
yeah, I mean, if we
right-
literally
put these
just
in the right
flip those two
categories.
numbers around without, it doesn't add or subtract from the
Yeah, it
budget at all.
doesn't change the bottom line, but it does affect where their expenses are happening.
Some stuff like, for example, 716 gardens and landscaping. I mean, it's 58% or 58.9, but that's because we buy all our plants in the spring. So it's things like that where I throw notes in, just
Right.
kind of explain why things might be more than you'd expect.
Right.
But no, I mean, nothing really. And of course, Nikki goes on vacation, right as the quarter's ending. So some
Russian and
some of the
everything.
numbers didn't get put in. They came a little after the fact. I pulled up I was just curious what our P&L statement was, year to day, July 23rd, and we're actually up $14,000. So, I mean, overall for the year. And we still get our sales tax collection either by the end of this week or early next week, which is substantial. So, I mean, we're doing well. I know this report, the big red number down at the bottom doesn't look good, but
And-
sometimes just the way the calendar falls and
Yeah, and
Well,
the
you can
red-
see a lot of these
The red
items
number
are-
also doesn't account for the fact that this is literally just income. It doesn't account for money that has been allotted and expended
yeah.
out of the reserve,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. So this is because we have spent money that we expected to be over our income.
Yeah.
So, that, or our current income, I should say. All right. Anybody have any questions? Beth, Lou,
No.
Aaron?
No, I think this all makes sense.
Ruth, anything sticking out to you?
Just wanted to make sure I understand what it is. Under LLCP overhead 756, the Starlink and lake treatment,
Hmm.
that's high, but we expected it to be, right? So,
Yeah, because those are typically with the infrastructure over 5,000. It's like those are one-time things,
One-time
and
things.
we got those done in that quarter, and so that's when we pay it. But it's not like we're going to pay for that stuff again.
Yeah, so it could max out at 90%
And
at the end of the year.
when it was budgeted, we didn't know exactly when it would take place.
And
So, like
Yeah.
we probably had a guess, but it could have been
yeah, we kind of
Q2, could have been beginning Q3, could have been, so that
yeah,
could
you kind of have
fallen
a
anywhere, is
general
what you're
idea,
saying.
but you don't know for sure.
Yeah,
And the
okay.
Starlink thing we added in after.
we added that later, yeah.
Yeah, because our internet was getting desperate down there. So
Right, no, I was just asking because,
Yeah.
we're at the whim of other people and events happening, so we try to plan. I just want to make sure, so we anticipated
Yeah.
it at a certain time and.
For sure.
Okay, then that makes sense.
And some of the stuff on the, just the way I always try to view it is like some of the over $5,000 projects, you put them on there and you plan on kind of doing it at the end of the year when you know for sure that you had a decent year fiscally. Like you don't want to try to bite them all off and then you're like, uh-oh, now we're, so you kind of save them for like a wish list sort of thing. But if you have a bad year for any reason, you can, not do those projects.
Put 'em off
And-
until next
yeah.
year.
Okay.
So we try not to do everything all at once, but there are certain things you do want to get done in the beginning of the year when it's slow and set yourself up for success. So
Yeah, and prioritizing necessities.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
No, that makes sense.
Anything, Rod?
I'm good.
All right, so does anybody want to make a motion to approve these?
I move that we approve the second quarter 2024 financial P&L for parks.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Ruth and a second by Ruth. We're going to have to get used to that.
Ruthie, is that what we're supposed to call you?
And have you got the exact words down there?
I think so.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Okay. Second item on this is Gardner's truck. Sammy, talk to us about it.
Yeah, so our fleet is pretty rugged,
It is.
and it's getting a little barren now. The 2007 Chevy Colorado that we had, it was Sharon's truck, it was the gardener's truck. It's perfect for gardening. It's small, it's easy to access, you can park it anywhere, good to get around town. It blew a piston in the engine, which just means, I mean, the cost to fix the engine is more than the truck's worth, so it's kind of like, what do you do? I guess my question is, shall we put it on Gov Deal, see what we can get for it? If so, we need to budget for a new truck at some point. That can happen. And, you know, the ground specialist truck too, that Dodge is a 2004. It's 20 years old. It's got 160,000 miles on it. It's not going to last much longer. So ideally, I don't know if it happens this year or not, but at some point we need to budget for, I mean, I think 2 new trucks would be, really, I mean, 3 would be nice. I would love to have a vehicle, but I'm
Think we could get through
sacrificing
this-
my vehicle because I know that other
Think we could
people
get through
need it
this
more than I
year?
do.
You think we could get through this year?
Huh?
You think we could get through this year?
I mean, to
Prepare
replace
for-
the gardener's truck would be nice. I mean, Noah's truck is still running, so it's fine, but I mean,
What is Sharon doing? And she's just getting
she's just
reimbursed
using
mileage and using her own?
Yeah, she's using her own, but I mean, that's sort of like, I don't know the legalities of that. You know, like, can we just indefinitely? I mean, do we?
You can.
Yeah. And if she refuses to use her truck, then what?
Then we got to provide her access to get to where she has to be.
Yeah.
I mean,
We don't want that.
obviously
I'm just
want
saying
to
that,
do
yeah.
that,
Yeah, we
but,
do.
Have you looked at all into state contracts for fleet vehicles and stuff like that, where they've
I've seen
already?
things like, are you talking about like, you know, when SWEPCO or someone has a fleet sale? Is that what you're?
No, I'm talking about like in major cities.
Ah,
People have procurement departments that go out and negotiate contracts.
oh, okay.
And
Yeah, I gotcha.
usually at a state level, they do it, they'll have it for all state purchases. And then they push those contracts down to cities and counties and anybody else who wants to buy off of their contract. So they've already negotiated the deals and, you know, what the cost plus is or whatever the deal is with that. I think it's worthy of us looking at that to see if they do have some fleet discounts and find out if we could, just see what's available to us without going through another whole bid process that they've already done.
Yeah.
Because we have to, I mean, they're going to be at the dollar amount that you have to bid it out, right? Which is
Yeah.
always a hard thing to do unless you're just going to find some used old truck,
I mean,
which
I
I
did,
hate
I
to
did
keep
hear a
doing
radio
that.
ad about McClarty Daniel. You know, they had hail damage on all their
Oh, yeah. well,
vehicles, and they're like, we're selling them for cheap. So, but I mean, yeah,
It's hard with the vehicle too, because if you're trying to get a deal before somebody else buys it, you don't have the time, the luxury of the time. With the bid process, we don't have that luxury, but the fleet thing, like going through the state or the county or whoever has a fleet deal, I didn't think about that.
I feel like somebody has to.
I mean, I can ask Simon. You know, they've purchased a number
Well,
of
even
new
actually, I would
vehicles
say
this
Carroll
year. and-
County probably might
Yeah.
have some deal that they do because they buy sheriff's cars and police cars and
Yeah.
public works stuff and all that. Maybe they have some kind of contract already negotiated that's met all the procurement requirements. And that's the key. It has to have met all the requirements. And it's also accessible to cities within the county. So it's something worth looking for to see if we can get a really good deal on
Yeah.
it. Maybe a vehicle that we're not buying a bunch of keep replacing old ones with old ones.
Old
we
ones
have
with
done.
slightly less old
Or
ones. Yeah.
slightly less old ones.
Like I said, I think, I mean, Public Works, Simon, they've purchased a number of vehicles
Yeah.
over the last year or two, so maybe I could see how they went through the
See if we can
process.
piggyback on that. Maybe they're gonna go, they got a couple more in their thing, and maybe we can piggyback on.
Yeah, and they got,
them.
nice trucks, so.
Yeah.
Hey, we can have a nice truck.
Do we really need a nice truck?
I mean, not like a nice truck.
All right.
As a backup, though, the idea of talking with someone like Carroll County Electric or SWEPCO isn't necessarily bad either, because those trucks get regular maintenance, things are done on them in a timely manner, and they can run for a long, long time. And they take relatively
And
good
they
care
keep
of
the
them.
logs on
Yeah.
everything they do with them, because
Yeah.
they have to keep track of stuff like that,
So at least if you get an older truck, it's been, and they usually don't keep them till they're real old. They turn them over
Mhm.
pretty regularly,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, it might not be a bad idea.
I have a question. Are the people that are using their personal vehicles getting reimbursed for mileage?
Yes, they all do, yeah. TBH, to be honest, I don't claim mileage. I feel like, I'm not trying to sound like some noble, yeah, anyway,
But we
to
definitely
be clear,
do.
I do not claim my mileage. I drive my personal vehicle, I don't claim it.
But to that point, I think what's relevant is looking at that expense and saying, how much are we reimbursing, let's say on a monthly basis?
You guys
That
speak a
you,
little closer to the microphone.
So looking at that expense and seeing what we're actually reimbursing from mileage, and that
Yeah,
money
which
could
is
then be repurposed to going towards either maintenance or new vehicle, depending on what that level is.
Yeah, I mean, you look at 714,
714.
fuel and mileage reimbursement, that includes the gas that we,
Oh, yeah, okay.
go and purchase from
And that's-
either
and
Public
that's for
Works or the
Q2.
police
Okay,
station.
That gives a better
so-
perspective, so thank you.
Does the city get a gasoline discount from any place?
Well, I mean, Public Works and the police department have gas that, we go and fill out a form, and then, they get it at a bulk rate from Anderson's, or I don't know where they get it from, but they come and fill up a big old tank, and then we can fill it up from there, and then they bill us once a quarter, I think,
I've
for
seen checks. I
reimbursement
don't
for
know how
that,
often.
so.
All right,
But I
so,
guess the question, I mean, as far as the gardener's truck is, what do we do with the one? Because it's just sitting there. I mean, it's not going to turn on. It's not going to. I mean,
what-
should we
what
sell
is-
it? Should
What
we?
is your suggestion to?
I mean, we could try Gov Deals and to see.
I would say try to get whatever you can get out of it and put it in a fund going towards the new truck.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be much. Or, if that doesn't, if I am going to sell it, is there a reserve I should put on it? Is there something, number that we want to get?
A 2007 truck? Was it
With a
seven?
blown engine?
With a blown engine?
I don't know. The
Might
used-
pay somebody to come get it.
The used vehicle market's so
Right.
weird right now. I would be careful because you don't know. I got my Highlander
Yeah.
got totaled recently, and it was a 2000, and I got $7,000 for it.
Whoa. So Gov Deals it is. Okay.
You never know. Right person
Yeah.
comes along, right time.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, whatever you
Okay.
can.
And research online.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's not going to, if we even think it's going to sell for more than $5,000, we do have to get it approved by council. But
That's
I mean,
You're not
I-
going to get $5,000.
I'm not gonna get $5,000.
Not on the
No,
best,
no.
not on the best
You
day.
might get one or two
Yeah.
for the metal scrap.
so are you guys okay if I list
Yes.
it? Okay.
This is-
That was my truck when I was a trails guy, so it's kind of sad.
That's
But
sad.
Want to buy it?
surely that has nothing to do with the blown piston, though. I'm telling you now.
All right, let's move to HVAC units at Leatherwood.
Yeah, so
Right.
cabin 4 has it's on its way out. It's leaking, the refrigerant, I guess is that what you call it? The actual cooling.
Freon?
Freon, yeah. And so we had someone come and look at it, and they were just saying, basically, yes, this unit is bad, but, cabins 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 were all installed at the same time. So they all have a lifespan, and number 5 is already making weird noises. So it's like, okay, well, is it something we can just do all at once? Would you guys give us a discount if we did this? And they said, yeah, since you're doing bulk, we might be able to get you a little bit of a discount price for it, because, I mean, 2 and 3 aren't really giving us issues right now, but given that they're 10 years old, I think 2015 is when they're installed, 9 years old now, I mean, it's gonna, I mean, we're gonna have to replace them at some point, so it's, do we bite it all off now, or do we do it one by one? I mean, if we do it one by one, it's probably not something we need to, might be something we need to add in the budget, might be over $5,000 for,
Why don't we get
One,
some
but-
quotes?
I got one, yeah. Actually got a couple, but this was the more favorable one. To do cabins 2, 3, 4, and 5, installation of 4 new 15,000 BTU Samsung mini split systems with copper line sets, condensate, 10-year parts and 1-year labor warranty included, would be $14,238
That's all?
for 4 of them.
That's pretty
Pretty
cheap.
good.
That's less than I expected.
That's less than I just spent on one.
Yeah, that's pretty darn good.
I guess it helps that they're already installed. I mean, they're just taking them out, putting new ones in.
Yeah, that's
But,
right.
I
You
mean,
don't, yeah, you don't have the compressor and all that, and wherever
But
it's
the 10
sitting.
years difference, and there's probably different requirements and different things. that they
Yeah,
have to
hopefully
go
they're more efficient and,
Yeah.
you know, better units, but, and then cabin 6 would be slightly more because it's, you know, split into a 2-head unit, so just that one alone would be $7,246. But it's not really giving us trouble right now, so I
Yeah,
don't know, like, if
right.
we just keep riding these things until they, you know, it's not like the truck where, you know, we're not
Right,
gonna like,
We need it.
Just curious, what was the other quote that you got for the same things?
it was more. It was, I mean, what would that break down to for 14,000? That'd be probably about $1,000 more per,
Per unit?
yeah,
Yeah. So-
yeah. So,
Okay.
not trying to name any names.
Is it a
But-
company that you've dealt with before?
You're gonna be-
Is it a company you've dealt with before that you're confident they'll do a good job?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's Eureka, so everyone knows everybody, but yeah, it's a company we've used in the past, so, yeah.
If we, I mean, $14,000 is $14,000.
I mean,
But we
the-
do have restricted funds, and that is part of the restricted funds for Leatherwood. And it is on our money-making lodging. We can't rent cabins that have no air in the
Correct.
middle of the summer.
Yeah.
Do we have, I mean, is there one now that where there is no air?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe, you know, I could talk with this company and say, hey, I mean, can we just do cabin 4 for now? Because that would,
With
I don't
the
think, that wouldn't
expectation-
require a budget
Right.
amendment, I don't think. And, you know, we can kind of fix them as they go. Instead of biting it all off at once and having to take a big chunk of money out, we can just,
I'd love to
We'll
do
do it
that,
as we
and I
go.
think we can negotiate them to do that with the same price they would do
Yeah.
all of
Yeah,
them if we
okay.
could commit to doing that.
because number 4 does need to be, I mean, it's leaking, so
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
that's not a good thing.
That's what I was, if we could maybe ask them to secure that pricing, like within a specific contract period and say, we're gonna do cabin 4 now, and then as needed, we'll add on within, like, let's say, just hypothetically now, within the next year, we'll do cabin 2, cabin
okay.
3, cabin
So
4.
sort of a staggered plan.
Yeah, but lock in the
Okay.
pricing at this point with a guarantee that we will be replacing them, but that will
Okay.
allow us to budget accordingly and push some of the expense to a future date versus
Yeah.
doing it all now.
I got you. Okay. Yeah, I'll get with them tomorrow and see if we can work that out with the plan of initiating cabin 4,
Right.
like, now. So,
Anybody have any more questions on HVAC for Sam? All right, and we'll move on to the memorial benches in Basin Park. I read a little bit of what you put in there, and
yeah,
I agree. I mean, I think that'd be a kind of a nice thing to put, did y'all read, I mean, what about doing plaques on the current benches as opposed to having, like they did for preservation, I guess preservation. We had one dedicated, I mean, it says that they did it.
yeah.
You did one for Stephanie that way, didn't you? The one,
Well, that was sort of a special case.
yeah, but wasn't hers a
but-
plaque on that thing too? So.
No, it was actually, I think they actually cut it in, CNC'd it, routed
Oh,
it
you're
out
right,
into the
right.
woods.
I've seen it, I
but-
just forgot.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, but, Yeah, essentially, someone hit me up about, I mean, several people have asked me about bench dedications, and I'm a little bit like hesitant about putting any more of those huge stone benches in, because once they're there, and you can't move them without an excavator, and, they're just sort of, like, no one
I like the
sits
idea
in
of
them
the
because
plaque.
they're kind of uncomfortable, because they're stone. But I was like, okay, we have that one bench that we, obviously put the plaque on for the Preservation Society as a thank you to, donating all that money to the benches. I thought, well, there's no reason why we couldn't do that to the other benches. Obviously, we would have to, since these people aren't necessarily paying for the benches, we'd have to set a fee for like what we
Right.
want. But I think it's a nice way to offer that to the public. So someone can do that. It's an option if they want to, and obviously, you just have to put a price tag on it if you guys are okay with it.
Yeah.
I mean, the plaque for the Preservation Society was $275, and then there's, I'll have to get with Brent one more time, the guy who made the benches, and see how much he would charge to, I think it was about
Install 'em.
$75, he said, to have
How
them
many total
installed
benches
if we
do
took the
have
bench.
That we could do that to?
12,
12.
yeah.
And do we have any other benches out on the trails that somebody might, like it's maybe their favorite trail and
Yeah.
they want to dedicate it to their father or something, I don't know.
We don't have anything like on the trails per se, but
Do the fees cover costs plus
Yeah.
little income? Okay.
yeah, it'd sort of be like, I mean, let's say it's $275 for the plaque, and then it's $75 for Brent to install the plaque. And so let's say we charge $500 total, and $150 is like, a donation to parks. So, and then you get your name or whatever you want. Well, not whatever you want the plaque to say. We'll probably have a few guidelines, but so long as
Yeah,
it's,
I think follow up with that and
okay.
get the deets, and I think it's a good idea. I think it'd be nice.
It's a wonderful idea.
It's an option. And,
It'd be nice to have a clearer cut way to do it. I mean, we've been through years of people doing that for different ways. One's stone benches that have been carved in all different places. To have a set
Yeah.
plan, this is how much it costs, these are the benches, it'd be
Yeah.
nice.
Kind of
People
adds
do
a
ask all the time.
And what if we
historical
have-
bit to it
but
too,
we have
which is nice.
12 benches and 50 people want to do it. Like
That's what I'm saying,
You got to do a lottery or something. So
Bidding
Or
war.
just come up with more benches on
yeah, we had to
trails.
get more benches. But yeah, I think it's definitely.
And that's why I
a
also
good
thought
idea.
of this, is because I'm like, there's so many benches already in Basin Park. I'm like, we don't need any more,
No.
but so let's try to do it in a way where we are utilizing the ones we already have.
Right.
So,
I like that idea actually.
so is that just something y'all want me to follow up on, or is
Yes.
just giving
Yes.
more details? And,
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Discussion about artist in the park.
Yes, so I met with the Arts Council yesterday. So it's me, and I had Nikki join me since he's the one who kind of deals with the permit process mostly. So we had the, Sandy Martin, and the mayor was there, and a couple other members. And we just sort of explained kind of what's going on and how it's not really, I think when it was first created, there was a huge buzz for it and people were really clamoring for it. And now it's kind of like,
Well, for the purposes of everybody here, will you kind of explain exactly what that is?
Please.
yeah, so it's a program that was, I think Ruth probably remembers when it was established more than I do,
Oh, a long time ago, 10, 15, 10, 12 years, I could look it up, but I don't remember, but it was a long time ago.
a long time ago. So,
Bruce Levine was director at the time.
okay. So yeah, so essentially what happens is, someone wants to sell their art in the park, so they can, the system is they go to the city, they get a business permit, and then they submit their portfolio to the Arts Council, and then Arts Council, pending approval, sends them to us, and they fill out their application, and then they pay a fee, and they get to sell in Basin Park in a designated area for, I think it's $20 a month. So it's one of those ideas. It sounds really nice and fuzzy, and it's like, yay, we love art. But
Art.
I mean, I think the reality is that it's hard to handle. It's hard to manage. You look at the farmers market. I mean, they have a full-time manager who works for them, who's there, and making sure everyone's bringing the product that they say they're going to bring. making sure people are there on time. There's really strict rules on when you can be there. And I mean, my wife was on the farmer's market for a while, and like, you don't miss the farmer's market unless you know, have a real good excuse. And once you're there, like you're locked in, like you don't get to leave early. So very strict, which is good. It's what keeps it, you know, functional, and it's for the good of everyone. We can't really do that with artists in the park. It's just, we don't have the facility or the eyes on the park to be able to monitor those sorts of things. So
Saturday, there were vendors there this Saturday. So it's already happening. I don't understand.
correct. And that's what we met about. Was I was like, hey, I just don't know if we want to continue this program as is, because we can't control what's happening at all. People are, you know, essentially what the contract says, you can set up any time from 8 a.m. to sundown, essentially, and any day you want, which is fine, I guess, but the problem is,
But there's
you know,
nobody to make sure that the people who show up and set up have a permit and should be
Yeah,
there.
and, you know, the
there's
amount
no one
of-
to police it.
the amount of, you know, oversight it would take is more than it's worth for, we would be putting a lot more work than we're getting out of the program, to be
How much are
honest.
the permits cost?
$20 a month.
$20.
$20.
For a month.
For a month?
Yeah.
Well, that's really low, but I really like to have things there.
What are the Arts Council, what is their take? What do they want to do? What is?
I think everyone
It's
kind of
their-
agreed with us that it was sort of like, you know, just if it's not working out, it's not working out. We don't have to do this. I mean, it's up to y'all, really, essentially,
Yeah.
as the
Have
commission.
there been any major
Um,
problems arise because of it?
Not
It's
recently.
been not like anything I had to call the cops on or anything, but
Because I agree with Ruth. I do like seeing the people down
and
there.
this
I think it's part of the cool
this
thing
doesn't
about
include
Eureka.
buskers. I mean, like I'm all for, you know, if you want to come bring your guitar down and open up your guitar case and
Yes.
play for tips or whatever, that's fine. I mean, that's actually covered in the First Amendment. We can't legally do anything about that, but selling things in the park is sort of that's something that's different. It's a different.
If it's only a
What-
$20 permit, then why does it need to be policed? I mean, so somebody doesn't pay their $20, but they're adding to the effect of the community park. That
Well,
it's an urban
but
park.
hypothetically, if you rent a space, if I rented a space, I could go down there and just say, I'm going to double my space, take over the whole park and set up whatever. And, you know, there's no regulation on you have an 8x8 booth or you have this, and we'd have to police that. That's what I'm guessing, things like that.
It's been difficult to police all the years
That's
that
the
we've done it.
problem. You can't police it.
You
You
can't-
don't have the
So
employees
there's-
to
So
you
keep
don't have any
going and
control over what's
checking
being
every
sold
day
either.
You could
at
kind of-
different hours, because they're
Right.
they can go anytime between 8 to dusk. So if you got someone who shows up at 1 o'clock, but your employee only got up there at 8 o'clock to see if anybody's done it, they can't keep swinging back through the park and checking to see if these permits are each artist. And they don't have any set days. They could just do any day they want to.
But we have telephones now that can do a lot. They can share
Explain.
information.
Explain.
Well, I'm not trying to be glib. You know, there's an app
No.
for that, but there's a way to use modern technology for people to check in and check out.
Well, I would say, I agree, and I agree. But the Arts Council, this was sort of their program, and we were just helping them with their program. From what I could see, it wasn't a Parks-initiated thing to begin with, right? Never has
Yes,
been?
yes and no. When it's because artists wanted to sell things in the park. So did craftspeople, so did balloon people, so did whatever. And true artists who wanted to sell in the park and wanted to have a permit and wanted to have a fair process were the ones kind of through the Arts Council that said, look, you're letting people wander around here, taking my space. I had my blanket here first. And so parks stepped in to regulate that, to keep it fair for everyone. And that's why the Arts Council got involved, because they represent artists who said, yeah, we want it to be fair. We want to be able, we'll pay for a permit. Someone pays for a permit, they get the space. That way the guy next to you's not getting it for free, but I'm paying for it. Again, regulating it was a problem. They used to call the police sometimes to check on it, and the police said, we work for the city, but we don't want to check this. And the parks, so it's always been kind of odd. But it hasn't been too big a problem as long as you regulate who buys the permit in the first place. If someone doesn't have a permit and they're down there, then, yeah, the police could come by and say no. But if they have a permit, the police aren't going to make sure it's them and make sure they're really selling the thing they said they're going to sell. But the Arts Council was the one who thought it'd be a great idea to allow artists to do this. Downtown merchants, at the very beginning, were a little against it, saying that's not fair to us. We have brick and mortar stores, we pay taxes, we have employees. And then, of course, the arts thing said, well, you could also get a space. Just because you have a shop doesn't mean you can also put a blanket down here and get a $20 space. We went back and forth, and mostly we just, in the beginning, relied on the Arts Council, who represent the artists, to say, what do y'all want? What do y'all want Parks to do? It's our space, but y'all are the one utilizing it. And it does add to the community feeling of artists in Eureka, et cetera. I don't think it's ever worked well. It's always been, the city does the permit, the parks maintains this, and it's hard to keep track of. It's better now than it used to be.
I think it's because we have so few people. Like when we only have
You don't have very
3
many.
vendors, and I think come October we have 0 signed up, and it's
Right.
kind of like,
It's not really a good space for doing it, for just having a couple like that.
yeah.
It's too bad it's not like the farmer's market, where once a month we let people come in and buy a permit and crowd them all in there and have more of them or something. I don't know, I'm just making that up. But it seems like this all the time, having people every weekend, and you have a few here, a few there, 1 or 2 on a weekend, 3, I don't know. It's always seemed like kind of haphazard.
Well, Saturday also, there was a political tent, and I did take exception to that. It offended me because it's a public space. It's not for politics.
There was a political tent on Saturday?
Pardon me?
A political tent on Saturday?
Yes.
I didn't see it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's-
anyone who's, I mean, talking with Kim, she's mentioned, it's, I mean, as far as free speech and political stuff goes, we can't really, legally, we can't shut that down. I mean, if you
Oh,
want,
so they didn't have to have a
Yes.
permit?
I don't know what they were
Well-
there for. I mean, I don't know what
But
kind
you,
of,
but I don't think you could just,
Yes,
set
you
up a
can.
tent anywhere you
Yeah.
want.
You can have a
and-
permit. Your permit just has to abide by, like our permit for the artists. We can't
Right.
tell an artist that the art has to be pretty or the art has to be
But-
all white people or
and-
whatever. We have to abide by the free speech and for what is recognized as art, performance art. We used the city, Central Park's definition of it when we first made the thing there years ago.
unique, one of a kind.
And then obviously I don't know the answer to this, but that might be the exact example of what we were saying about policing, where now anybody can just go there and set up and just do whatever, and there's no real guidelines or regulations.
Right.
So I think that's kind of where I was going with the idea that it's a free-for-all, and I agree that the arts thing, I think it is good. I think what it sounds like is, and I don't know if this is an option, but sort of, because it's our space, but it does not fall to us to regulate or create this event, so to speak. So I would maybe suggest going back to the Arts Council and saying, hey, if you want to put together a proposal to do this event, put in the guidelines of we're going to allow 6 spaces, 8 spaces, whatever, that what we're recommending. It's going to be on Saturdays from 10 to 5
Yeah.
every week
Yes.
through these months, et cetera, and then setting some sort of guidelines, to make sure it's easier to regulate and to just make sure everything's in check. Still the same processes with permits and whatnot, but then also to address your comment, Sam, about like it's a random Tuesday or nobody shows up or whatever. So at least now it's like sort of a regular ongoing event of like an artist in the park sort of thing.
And that's
But
sort of my first initial thinking was, okay, farmer's market is successful in a lot of
Perfect.
ways, and it's
Right.
like, well, how do they do it? They do it twice a week, Tuesday, Thursday mornings, it's set. There's a set schedule, although, I mean,
Right.
this is not time or place, but I still think they should do an evening market.
Right.
But they do it at a set time, set place, and you can better regulate, what's coming. You can promote it better, too.
Right.
That's the thing.
Promote it.
We
And-
can't promote it because we don't know when the artists are going to show
Right.
up. So it's like,
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. So we can all agree on a personal level that we say, we love seeing it, we want it. But as a commission and a committee, it's not necessarily our responsibility to create and regulate and push this event out. It's just our space to manage. We are technically just renting that space to the people, the Arts Council, to have this event. So that's why I think it would
and that's
be...
where Nikki and I's confusion has always been, just like, why are we, I mean, I know it's Basin Park, but like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens in Basin Park without any of our approval or
Because
you know,
it's, yeah, I mean, it's a public space, but when you're
knowledge,
selling stuff
It's
and
because the
whatever, there's a
commerce, it's
different
the
reason.
commerce, it's the selling. That's why
Right, that's
everybody got involved,
commerce.
because they were selling something. We had to have some way to.
Oh, okay.
So
Regulate it.
question and a side question, really. I've been to political rallies there. I've been to performance art there. Is that completely separate from
Yeah,
commerce?
yeah. Anything that you're like not. I mean, if you're just, I think there's a flame dancer, fire dancer, whatever you call
The
that, down there.
drummers.
Performance
Yeah.
art,
And I'm
performance
like,
art's
that's-
allowed.
Performance art's fine. I mean, there's, you know, because you're not putting a price on your.
So, but
product per se.
Is there like a registration or a permit to do that stuff?
I don't think
Performance art?
so. I mean,
No.
you're
I have
no.
a good
Basically like busking
suggestion.
it almost,
No.
you know?
I have a suggestion if Ruth is willing to take on the mission, to actually have you really speak to the Arts Council
I'd be glad to.
and really kind of go through the nuts and bolts of what they believe is happening and isn't happening, what they would like to see happen or not happen. And let us get all of our real details and
Information.
facts together and then make an educated decision based on real facts as opposed to, yeah, one time I was there or one time you know, like
Yeah.
this person one time did this. To get real facts from them, because I do think it's good that the Arts Council's involved in this. It's their thing. I also think that we don't have parks employees on the weekends in town.
Maybe
so
they
we
would be
have
willing
no
to
way
do
to
some
monitor
policing of it.
that anyway. I mean, we have Leatherwood employees, but we don't have any in-town employees, right? So we have no way to monitor it. But if we want the police to monitor it, then we have to give them the guidelines of what they're monitoring by. You know, if they're going to go up and say, I need to see your permit, and everybody needs to show their permit.
Which, you know, I'd have to even make sure that they're okay with that. I mean,
Exactly. So
say-
there's all these
Yeah.
little details that sounds like, well yeah, I love going down there and having people down there selling jewelry or whatever they're doing. It's a really cool thing.
Actually, it'd be very easy if you required them to show their permit
That's what I was going to say,
and
too.
display it so that it's not a question. And I really want to say that $20 for the whole month is way too
Too low.
low.
Yes, I
If they're
agree.
going to be out there every day, let's say an artist made $8,000 that month and they only gave us $20,
Right.
then that sounds kind
And
of,
I feel like, and I don't know this, because I'm just saying this is what I feel like. I feel like it was to give some of these local people that make their own jewelry, that make candles, or do
Sure.
their own little thing, a venue to sell their wares in a public space where the tourists are coming through and all that. And I like that idea. Of course, we do have farmers markets and we have other things. But I think just rambling on about stuff for an hour at a time is, without all the facts and the details,
Yeah, sure.
is, you know, I think we have done it, but I feel like maybe
Do you have a
if you'll
name?
take that on.
I'll be glad to. Do you have a
Sam
name?
will get all
Okay,
that for you,
all right.
right? Will you get that to Ruth, who to contact and everything?
Yeah, and
about
I'm, you
that?
know, I'm happy to talk, you know, outside of official meetings too. So I mean, it's, yeah, if you want to get more details or whatever. Yeah. Also, just there is one like idea that, you know, sometimes I do feel like it's important to acknowledge that downtown is a bustling, you know, busy place on a weekend, especially in the summer. And I'm not saying I strictly abide by this, but I do like the idea of the park being a place where you can kind of get away from, you know, it doesn't have to all be go, go, go all the time. Sometimes you need to just sit
back.
down and relax and not have,
quiet space.
you know, someone trying to, you know, it's not like we've had any issues of people being aggressive, you know, or, you know, harassing people, but it's
Well,
just a
that's-
place where you can kind of get away
It's
from it
always
for a
been the
minute.
problem with Basin
Right,
Park.
so-
Is it a park or is it a
Right, it's not a
city
shopping mall.
square?
It's an urban
It's
park.
always, it
It's
serves
an-
us both for us.
It's
for
an
youth.
urban park.
But there's
Yeah.
one other issue that I think that really needs to be considered is all the other events that take place in the park that are planned.
Yeah.
And so somebody has to be coordinating that.
There are blackout days on the artists in the park. I mean, there's days where they can't be there because, you know, like drumming in the park or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that would just be, that's too crazy, so.
Okay, so, Sam?
Is there a registered local artist? That's the other side of the coin.
That
Probably
might be
the
a
Arts
good question,
Council.
Ruth can ask.
I would think there's an arts council, there'd be a registered local artist for them to converse
I would think that would be done through the Arts Council.
That's what the Arts Council is supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's why we.
Well,
and-
so where we're going to leave this is Sam's going to get the contact information for Ruth, and Ruth is going to get some scoop. If you have any other questions, feel free to call me or Sam or whoever you need to. Ruth has some history with it. We'll be glad to pitch in. But I think it's good to coordinate it with one person to get all the deets on it, and then bring it. Let's talk about it with a little more
I like that.
Knowledge.
knowledge, right? Is that
Good idea.
Okay. All right. So we'll move on to cleaning service at Leatherwood.
Yeah, sorry, and a lot of these items are more like discussion
Just discussion,
pieces, just a lot of things to bring up. A lot of things happen all at once. Seems like that's the way it works. So yes, the cleaning service at Leatherwood, we've, Juanita and I, the park manager down at Leatherwood, have been, discussing moving forward with Leatherwood, and it's like, well, we are getting busier, and which is great. Like, we love that more people are coming down there, seeing the park. A lot of them are just park users, but, we are getting busier just with our lodging. And so with that comes more demands. And we've already started, outsourcing our laundry service because our facilities just can't handle what we're trying to do. I mean, we have, utility, and septic from the 50s and 60s, and we're trying to run this operation. So we're already kind of outsourcing the laundry to a company over in Berryville. They're great. They pick it up Monday, Wednesday, Friday, drop it off at the same day. They pick it up, and it's just this constant cycle of laundry coming in, coming out. But we're also just thinking, the big thing is getting someone to come and clean the cabins for us, because it's hard to find people who want to do that job. It's a tough job, and it's
Every single person in town that has a lodging facility will tell you that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we've been really I don't use this term very often, but we're very blessed to have the person we have in there now. But she's she will not be there forever, and so it's sort of like we need to consider our options. And we got a quote from this company that's local, and they seem very professional. They're just kind of starting up their business, and they gave us the rates they would charge us to do the cleaning, and it was sort of like a no-brainer. They would still be using the laundry facility that we're using, so they'd just be coming and cleaning, doing the same thing that we're basically doing, and also using the laundry service. So, yeah, moving forward, I think that's kind of the answer to our problems as far as staffing and
Okay.
making sure everything's clean, and we're
Would this be a short-term sort of contract or short-term sort of trial period? We're not locked into anything.
No, there's no
forever?
contract. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, the
This will
only
solve
part of the contract, our
it'll solve
contract is
immediate
just sort of the price quote that they gave us. I mean, that's the only thing that which is good pricing. But yeah, I mean, if it's not working out for any reason, we're not obligated to
I mean, yeah,
continue.
if it becomes where it's costing us more to clean and do the cabin than we're making on the cabin, then we have to
Yeah.
rethink that idea.
Well, and that's the thing too. I mean, Juanita and I were talking about it, and it's like, there's no reason why in reality, we should, especially if we have a contract service like this, we should not be worried about charging a cleaning fee but we'll actually charge, the way we're wanting to set it up is, if you come and just stay one night, it might cost you a little more than what we currently have on the price tag now. But actually, if you stay 2 or more nights, it's going to end up being cheaper because we're trying to give you a discount for,
Well, and motels and hotels have different rates for lodging based on
Dynamic
peak
pricing
periods.
and-
Yeah, so,
yeah.
But people are used to cleaning fees, and they make sense.
Yeah.
It's a set fee. They understand you're paying one person to clean the room, whether they stayed there 5 nights or 1 night. They're coming and changing the bed,
Yeah.
cleaning the bathroom.
Mhm.
So I don't know. To me, the cleaning fee makes sense just to do it. People are accustomed to them now. Everybody does them. And because wages have gone up, costs have gone up, I mean, you have to raise your rates to pay for the cleaning,
right.
pay for your cleaning employees, pay for your cleaning service. That's just what it is.
I don't know if this is something we have to vote on. I mean, I'm not really sure or if it's just something we move forward on and then, you know.
That's kind of why I was asking that question. If this becomes a long-term contract, and
Yeah, if there's a contract that
I
locks us
say-
in, then yeah,
I
we'll
say-
bring it to you, but it's more
I
like
say, how about 90 days to get them through the end of like October or whatever, and see how that works out, how it works with pricing, how that
Yeah.
works, and if it becomes a big deal, then maybe we look at it from a bigger picture.
okay.
Would the cleaning, though, come out of your professional services, or would it come out of your regular payroll budget at that point? I mean, when you're,
It would not come out of payroll, I wouldn't think. I mean, that seems
No.
sanitation.
sanitation?
It'd have to be an
That's what I would
expense.
It's an expense.
Yeah, I mean, sanitation would be
744.
the one they would fit into now, but then, you know, if it works out, next year's budget would include, you know, cleaning and laundry service, a separate line item for that.
For
That we
sure.
could actually budget for, so.
Because basically, it's sort of cost of goods sold almost. But I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
the cost of the lodging.
The lodging is a
Yeah.
good that we sell, so.
So it's good to have that broken out, but it definitely would have to have its own line item, so we can monitor that, keep track of it.
Are the nightly rates regulated for the whole year, or do we change them based on what event goes on in Eureka?
It's not
or
really-
Are we allowed to?
No, we are allowed, we have a price range, but we have not established a dynamic pricing setup per se. Right now, reservation software we're using doesn't offer that, so it'd be nice to,
Or we need to do that?
it's something I would like to,
We definitely need to do that.
yeah.
Because if all the rates of the hotels go up and down, we need to do the same thing.
Yep.
Because we're
That's true.
losing money.
It keeps
Well,
us more
We've
competitive.
actually had the conversation, we've actually had voted.
I knew we
to
had,
give
but-
them the right to do that, to do it, but. you
We
know,
don't have the
again,
kind of like
we just don't have-
technology where it's, you know,
Yeah,
catching
yeah.
algorithms and Google searches and all that.
And
What
each
are we
one of these
using?
things is a
On the
big project in and of itself. Like,
Fair Harbor,
What is it?
Fair Harbor.
Fair Harbor, okay.
So, I mean, I know that that's definitely in the plans to do over time.
Mhm.
But sometimes we're just trying to keep our head above the water just to get through the summer busy months. And then maybe in the winter when we have more time, you guys could spend more energy on how we're going to do that for the next season.
Yeah. Well, if you guys are okay with it, I'll go ahead and contact them and see if we can just set up, like you said, I'll give them a 90-day trial period. Let's see how it works out. You know, if it doesn't, no hard feelings, but, you know,
Yeah.
Good.
Because in truth, we're only paying them by the time, the ones they clean. I mean,
correct, yeah. I mean,
you're not-
if there's no cabins to clean, there's no cabins
there's no
to clean, so,
So,
yeah.
anyway, they may want to test us out too,
That's true.
True.
you know?
Yeah.
So at least that'll solve an
I'm really
immediate
hard to work
problem.
for, so they're probably going to be
Yeah, Juanita's the one they
really
have to deal with.
questioning their decisions.
All right. All right, number 7, the raise for the ground specialist. Is that Noah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or as we like to call him, MOA.
MOA.
Because he's the mower.
Yeah, so I essentially just told him, you know, he's one of our more consistent employees. Not that I have inconsistent employees at all, but he's, you know, especially consistent. He's always there, you know, 8:56 every morning, usually waiting on everyone else to show up. And I told him, you know, it's his year mark. He's been with us for about a year now, and he's been taking on a lot of extra duties, maintenance, you know, light maintenance tasks. And then I told him, hey, like, if you can start taking over the water testing down there, which is something Jeremy has normally been doing, you know, take it over, learn how to do it. Not to say that Jeremy's never going to do it again, but it's so nice to know you have 2 people who can do it. You know, I'm like, I'll put in a raise for you to the commission. So, you know, now he's doing our water testing, he's doing light maintenance, he's doing all the grounds work, he's, you know,
Stepping up.
he's stepping up.
Is he
So,
40 hours a week?
yes, he's a full-time year-round,
And
40
does-
hours a week
Does
position.
he get benefits like health insurance?
Correct, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And what is
Well, he actually, Yeah, I mean, he has health insurance now, but he hasn't been here for years, so there's certain things he hasn't gotten yet. I think his 2-week vacation comes in September or something like that. Because he started off on a 90-day trial period, so he wasn't full-time until like September.
So what does it get paid now?
18 an hour.
An hour, okay.
Yeah.
And what is that annually?
A little less than 40. It's like 38
What
or
do you
something.
suggest that the rate should be?
I was going to ask for $20, which would be,
40, 80.
sorry, got to do math. $41,600.
If he's a good employee, yeah.
$4,160 is the difference,
Oh, yeah.
the increase, right?
Yes,
$2
yeah.
times
For each
$2.
dollar increase you get, you essentially get about, you get $2,080 more per year. I mean, if you work 2,080 hours a year.
I think if he's been here for a year, but it'll be full-time a year in September.
And he always jokes that, we're never getting rid of
reliable,
him,
and he's
so,
taking on additional duties. I think
yeah.
that's a more than fair, what you want to do.
Yes.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think it's,
And he's dedicated to Leatherwood for the most part?
yeah, I mean, he also takes care of Harmon. I mean,
Oh, he does?
he-
Okay.
Yeah, and he did a lot of the work at for the cabin renovations and, watching him work. I'm like, oh, this guy knows how to do stuff. He knows how to use tools.
That's one of the things I think a lot of people don't realize, that we're not like federal parks where they have somebody who has a very specific, they don't get out. Our guy's got to be able to sheetrock.
Well, no. No one on my crew has to know how to sheetrock. I will never subject anyone
I
to
just
that.
threw that out. It could
For
be anything.
example, for
But
example.
they're in there working on those cabins. They're doing anything that they can do. They're not like, oh, my job's to just garden. I'm only going to touch the flowers.
Yeah.
Nobody does that. They just all pitch
Do
in
what's
and do whatever
necessary.
they can.
He's the one he painted the entire bathhouse and visitor center and bait shop.
And they're
I mean, it's
out
all
there.
him. So
Is he having to use his own car?
No, he's got a truck.
Okay.
Yeah. Although he hates that truck, so I think he'd be happier to use his own truck. But
So in a nutshell, you're basically recommending that we, at his year mark,
well, it is his. I mean, he's right about at his year mark. So yeah.
that we go from $18 to $20 per hour.
Okay.
Is that the recommendation?
Yeah,
And so the effect for the budget for the rest of the year is, it's just $2,000 really.
$2,080.
Right?
Correct. Yeah, and I'll amend the budget once. If you guys pass it, of course, I'll amend the budget and make sure that's in there. So
Okay. Does anybody want to make a motion? We got it under control. Thanks.
I move,
I just think you have an employee interest in bid cases. This is special cost, bring it up, but otherwise you're going to protocol.
Go ahead.
I move that we allow Sam to give a raise to his ground specialist from $18 to $20 per hour.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Ruth, second by Beth. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, number 8, election of new commission secretary. This Jonathan was our secretary, and he's no longer here. Aaron has been so kind to do the minutes for us tonight.
Does he want to stay secretary?
So yeah, he would be willing to do it if somebody wants to nominate him.
I'll nominate Aaron for secretary.
Second.
So anybody else want to take on that role? It's a pretty easy process, but we do have to have a motion once all the nominees are done. So everybody got another chance to volunteer. All right. I know it's not the most glorious thing, but it is nice to have somebody who will do all that and bring their computer and get it all done that night. So we do need a motion.
I make a motion we give Aaron Bory the secretary position.
I'll second that.
Motion by Rod, second by Beth, for Aaron Bory to be the new secretary of the Eureka Springs Parks and Recreation Commission. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, 5-0. All right, let's go around. Commissioner comments. Beth, you have anything?
I do not.
Ruth, do you have anything?
No, it's been very enlightening to be here.
Aaron?
No, nothing from me.
Ruth?
No, I keep forgetting this is our first real meeting since 4th of July, isn't it?
I
So
have
I
no
just-
concept of time anymore.
I know, I'm sure you
Getting
have
through
lost.
July.
So I just do want to thank you for putting on a great Jamboree. It was awesome. I think I heard a lot of good feedback for it. The Parks Department did a good job of cleaning it up, keeping it clean during the event, trash and keeping the parking organized. Thanks to all the volunteers and all that. It was great. And so, congrats to everybody.
Rod?
I was going to say thank you for staying late with me at Jamboree with the parking issues that we had.
Me and
Oh, it
Rod
was
were out there in the rain.
A headache to get people out of the park and keep them from going back in. It was pretty weird. And so we only had one from Grassy Knoll. Charlie? Was it Charlie?
Grassy Knob?
Yes. Was it
Charlie?
Charlie?
I forget. You
I'm
talking about the
pretty
chief?
sure, yeah.
Richard.
Richard, that stayed with the two of us, and it was hard work to get those
Lessons
people.
learned every year. We're going to keep
Every year.
learning. We're going to keep
So,
learning.
While y'all were up there were some people back by the kiosk that were missing their ride, couldn't find their people, young, that
Oh,
happened
yeah.
too. People need to be aware of a meeting point, lost people.
I think we learned something
We
really
learned some
good out of
things.
this
We
this
did.
year for parking.
Just like last year, but it really went real well. It was awesome.
All right. Everybody's had anything else? All right, let's move on to the minutes from the special meeting. I think at the special meeting, we approved the previous
Right.
minutes, so the only minutes is from the special meeting, right?
Yes.
Okay, so has everybody got a copy of that or seen a copy? Or
It's in our phones, right? I move that we approve the meeting minutes from the special meeting, the Parks and Recreation Commission of, what was the date of that meeting?
6:18.
6/18/24.
Second?
Motion by Ruth, second by Rod. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, I'm going to sign this, and I'm going to have Aaron sign it too. Set. Okay, and did that. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Ruth to adjourn, second by Rod. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's do it. All those opposed? All right, we're done. We're adjourned. All right, Aaron, have you signed that? Give it to me.